saw I'd guess to be a 6 to 7 foot tall darker than night figure standing behind the chair. Damn right, chair door saves the day. All jokes aside, I was filled with more terror than I have ever felt in my life. Being shot at, friends die in IED explosions, ghost dog, bullshit electronics, this was on another level. It was like fear was being put into me, like forced into me, and there was nothing I could do about it but sit up and stare at this thing. After about 3 minutes it disappeared. And let me tell you, with a quickness did I turn on every light in my basement room. And no, I did not drift off again like in other stories. This happened again about 3 more times over the course of 3 months until I talked to my uncle, who's a pastor of a church I used to go to. Now I'm Christian, but I never thought about rebuking this thing in Jesus Christ's name as my uncle instructed me. One night again I was woken up with the immense dread and fear as this thing was standing behind my only defense, chair door. And I started mentally thinking, in Jesus Christ's name I rebuke you. I felt a tingling energy go through my body and replace the fear, until verbally I started saying it. In Jesus Christ's name I rebuke you. I said it aloud and the figure disappeared. Everything stopped for about a month. I had an extra keyboard on the other side of the partition. Chair door was no longer needed as nothing was happening anymore. I got woken up from a dead sleep to what sounded like something going to town on that keyboard. I grabbed my cell phone and used its light to illuminate the keyboard, and I could see a shadow of a large dog running back and forth against the wall. I yelled, "Chair door, get him." No, seriously though, I rebuked it in Jesus Christ's name and it dead stopped. Fast forward 3 years, I get a job and move out of my hometown. But often take trips to visit friends and family, and when I do I stay at my mom's. Nothing really creepy happens while I'm there. I start dating a girl and she comes with me on some of my trips. One trip all in one day, she's in the shower. She hears me knock on the door and say I'm coming in. She said she heard the door open and the cold air hit her in the shower as the door closed. She came down and asked me what I wanted. I told her I have no idea what she's talking about. Later our travel bag, which had sat on a table for about 3 hours, randomly falls off. As we go to sleep there is a creepy feeling, and she said she heard a loud noise in her ear, similar to what I had described to her from the past happening to me. When we woke up the next day, her glasses had moved themselves across the house, 2 doors, and were sitting under the bathroom mirror. One trip I was talking to my mom about all the creepy stuff, and she mentioned the crawl space in my brother's room. My brother said he found an old bong in it, and I asked my mom if she ever looked in hers. She told me no, so I decided to look, and when I looked in the crawl space there were about 7 feet in the crawl space. I told my mom about it and she thought I was playing a prank on her. The next day when I woke up I had the urge to get rid of this thing that torments everyone. I went upstairs and I could feel a heavy, creepy vibe in my mom's room. I rebuked it in Jesus Christ's name and it felt as though the energy left the room, like you could almost physically feel it change in the atmosphere. And that was the last thing that ever happened at my mom's house. And that's my story. I hope it helps others that might be going through anything similar. Family recounts terror at hands of ATF agents. Answers sought for no arrest gun raid. Thursday, April 13, 1995. By Michael Hedges for the Washington Times. The hilltop home of gun show promoter Harry Lamplugh in the wooded central Pennsylvania town of Wellsboro was raided by several agents of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms last May. The encounter was a nightmare out of a Gestapo handbook, say Mr. Lamplugh and his wife, Teresa. Agents waved automatic weapons in their faces, damaged their property, took medical and family records, seized guns and $2,000 in cash, and even caused the death of pets. In court papers, the federal government has called the charges of harassment and brutality outrageous and utterly false. But no one in the Lamplugh family has been charged with a crime. And ATF doesn't dispute that at least $18,000 of the Lamplugh's property was seized and listed for forfeiture, and that personal documents have not been returned. The couple and their attorney, Robert Sanders, have been unsuccessful in trying to open a court affidavit justifying the search and describing why the Lamplughs were being investigated. With federal income taxes due Monday, the Lamplughs have not regained any business records. Their story is achieving the status of underground classic among gun owners, pro-gun groups, and other anti-ATF organizations. The National Rifle Association's Ginny Simone has prepared a videotape on the case, and other organizations are telling their members about it. Beginning to rank with such cases as the ATF and FBI raids on the Branch Davidian compound near Waco, Texas, in 1993, which left 96 SEC members and 4 ATF agents dead, and the Randall Weaver case in Idaho, which began as a minor weapons case and ended with a federal agent and the wife and son of the white separatist dead. The Lamplugh case has become another rallying point in a growing protest over what gun groups say are unconstitutional assaults on their rights. In an interview, Mr. Lamplugh said the federal agents were on a fishing expedition. He thinks ATF was searching for records of people who sell guns through the 40 shows he promotes in the eastern United States each year, and for the names of the 70,000 members of the Borderline Gun Collectors Association, which his family runs. "They want me to be a rat and do their dirty work," he said. "I want no part of it." Another motive hinted at in court papers filed by the family in an effort to get property back, is political retaliation against Mr. Lamplugh for setting up gun shows at which cruel and personal criticism of the Clinton administration and ATF is exchanged. As part of the freedom to assemble, associate and exercise free speech, it is not uncommon to see prominently displayed posters and other media scorning and ridiculing political figures, and executive branch officials, the Lamplugh court brief says. At a typical gun show you will hear things like "the president has committed cowardice and treason for protesting against America on foreign shores," Mr. Lamplugh said. Mr. Lamplugh, a 51-year-old Army veteran, was a licensed gun dealer, but gave up his license to promote gun shows held by groups such as the Lions Club, the American Cancer Society, the Marine Corps League, and the American Legion. He denied committing any crime to warrant the search and seizures. "Common sense will tell you, if they had something on me, they would have filed charges a long time ago to shut me up," Mr. Lamplugh said. On May 25, he said, his family was visited by the full wrath of a powerful and angry group of federal agents. "The first thing I saw was a guy running across the yard with a machine gun pointed at my son. If he would have tripped, he would have killed him," Mr. Lamplugh said. "I had a guy put a machine gun, an MP5, in my face and tell me to shut up. I asked if he had a warrant, and he emphasized with his gun and his mouth that I better shut up or else." Over the next 8 hours, agents thrashed about the family home, at one point, pausing to have a pizza party, Mr. Lamplugh said. Private mail was opened and read, food was taken and eaten, and a hole was burned in the carpet by an agent's casually discarded cigarette, according to a brief filed in the couple's lawsuit to regain their property. Mr. Lamplugh is a cancer patient. Powerful prescription drugs were strewn on the floor, giving family pets a fatal snack, he said. And a female ATF agent kicked a kitten, then stomped it to death, the family said. The federal government denies the killing of the pets and other harassment. In a counter motion to the Lamplugh suit, Assistant U.S. Attorney Wayne P. Samuelson said the search was conducted in a low-key, orderly, and professional manner. But a veterinarian has confirmed that the day of the search the Lamplughs brought him a kitten that had suffered blunt force trauma and soon died. Either this couple who loved animals killed their own kitten, or someone else did that day, said Mr. Sanders, the Lamplughs' attorney. Most of the weapons seized by federal agents were well-known models of hunting rifles and shotguns made by companies such as Winchester, Marlin, and Remington. They also took a few World War I and World War II Colt 45s. The U.S. Attorney's Office for Central Pennsylvania refused to discuss the case this week, saying the raid was part of an ongoing investigation. In a briefing paper on the case yesterday, ATF in Washington said, as a convicted felon, Mr. Lamplugh is prohibited from lawfully possessing firearms. Mr. Lamplugh denied he is a convicted felon. I made a diligent search, Mr. Sanders said. I had an attorney search, and a private investigator who is a former ATF agent search, and I can find no record that Mr. Lamplugh was convicted of a felony. ATF refused to specify or produce records of any felony charges against Mr. Lamplugh. In court papers, Samuelson said, the specific alleged criminal violations were expressly made known to Mr. Sanders. Mr. Sanders said he was told his client was being investigated as a former felon who illegally owned guns and engaged in gun dealing without a license. Mr. Lamplugh said he has not sold guns since voluntarily giving up a gun seller's license a couple of years ago. The government ran an ad in USA Today to sell the $18,000 worth of guns taken from Mr. Lamplugh's private collection. He was not informed but happened to see the ad. To prevent the sale, he had to post a bond equal to the gun's value. More from a 1995 issue of Soldier of Fortune magazine. Lamplugh Raid, a new low in BATF terror tactics. By James L. Pate. Staring through steamy windows into the shadowy dusk outside her rural home, Teresa L. Lamplugh felt inexplicably spooked. A petite blonde, Lamplugh thought she saw a man crouched behind some shrubs outside, peering into her hot tub room. Pulling a towel around her as she sat upright on the edge of the churning whirlpool, she called out nervously to her husband. Harry C. Lamplugh came and looked. Probably just a deer, Harry reassured her. Wild game is plentiful around their north-central Pennsylvania home. As it turned out, though, the Lamplughs were the prey that night. They realized the next morning that a man had been peeping at Terry. That realization came not gradually, like the spring dawn, but with sudden terror of a vicious pit bull snapping its chain in mid-lunge. The Lamplughs remember the moment well, because it was the last time they felt safe in their home. It was 8:30 a.m., on May 25, 1994. About 15 or 20 gangbangers, as Harry calls them, descended on his home with weapons drawn, screaming obscenities and threatening their lives. 7 hours later, their house looked like a gang rumble had indeed gone down. Greasy boxes, half-eaten pizza slices and aluminum soda cans, the intruders stopped for lunch in the middle of their mayhem, were tossed on the floor. Disassembled tampons lay scattered in the bathroom. Terry's lingerie drawers were ransacked and dumped. Antique furniture and valuable statuary were broken. Cigarette butts had been flipped carelessly on the carpet, scorching it. Harry's vials of cancer medication, hundreds of dollars worth, were poured out and crushed underfoot. 2 of Terry's beloved cats ate part of the chemical mixture, then died in howling agony. As a final parting gesture, a kitten was stomped to death in the front yard as the Lamplughs watched. What gang of thugs would terrorize a home so? It was those foul-mouthed, trigger-happy stormtroopers of the BATF. The Lamplughs, owners of the